So it's Hiedi Scott with DiyDreaming, and on this video tutorial, I'm going to show you something that I think is pretty cool. I'm going to show you how you can paint newspaper and then make either flowers or tassels. So, don't put your newspaper out in the recycle bin this week. Hang on to it because I think you're probably going to want to make some of these, and they're super easy. All right, well, as you're hopping on, tell me hello so I know that you're here. If you're watching on replay, you can let me know that too. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to be giving some of these away to 3 names that I'll randomly pick from anyone who sprinkles. So sprinkle this video today if you would like. Okay, so these are 3 of the flowers that I made real quick. We're going to fill this up with flowers this morning, and this is one of the tassels that I made. But I'm going to show you start to finish how to do the whole process. And you guys, it's so easy. It's going to start with newspaper. It could be like the grocery ads. It could be, you know, an opinion. It could be whatever. I do think it works better when you don't have something dark like this, when it's more like this. But it can pretty much be whatever you want it to be. And then we're going to do 2 different styles. The first one I'm going to show you is how to do the flowers. Okay, and there's lots of different ways to do that even. I mean, the possibilities are just endless with this project. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to either get some watercolor paints, some acrylic paints, or if you are a crafter and you do a lot of the projects that I do here on DiyDreaming, you can use what you have. You can use the Magnolia inks in whatever colors you like, and these work great. I did want to tell you that I tried first using these very old watercolors from when my kids were little, and it was just too transparent. You couldn't hardly see it. So then I moved to the Magnolia inks. And if you want a link for that, when I'm all finished, I will get you one. I'm going to see if I can just put one, pin it here. Yes, okay, so give me 1 second. I'm going to try to pin it. That way you'll be able to see it. If you're watching this on Facebook, you'll be able to see it right below the screen. It says DIY Flowers. Okay. So what I did was I took some little scoops of these different colors, and I'm going to get one more color, and I put them on a glass plate. You could use a paper plate too if you would like. It really doesn't matter. Although when you're using a paper plate, it kind of seems to sink in to the paper and you don't get as much out of your ink. So I have this, what is it? I have my lid on here crooked. Okay, I have this yummy color called Pumpkin, Turquoise, Fuchsia Rose, this is pretty, ooh, I love this one, Sangria, and Emerald Green. But there's a lot of different colors, and you can use, if you have some of the Magnolia inks, use the colors that you have. They'll work great. And then I'm going to use some distilled water just to spray my little blobs down and dilute them a little bit. I'll show you. Okay, and then I'm just using some crummy watercolor brushes, or not, just, you know, brushes. And I'm going to start with the center of the flower. It could be absolutely whatever color you want, and it's going to be very abstract looking. So I'm going to do the center, and then I'm just going to, I'll hold this up in just a minute. Okay, so that's the first layer. And we'll pick up some more color. Honestly, I think the more colors, the better, but this is again one of those things where it's personal preference, what appeals to you. So I'm just kind of doing these little washes around what could be a flower. And you can go as big as you would like. Let's use a little bit of this dark purple, and then we'll use a teeny bit of green. I do like these better. I mean, I've been experimenting this morning to see what I like the best. And we're gonna do these flowers two different ways. One, we're gonna freehand cut them out and glue them together and add a button. The other way, we're gonna use some punches. So if you don't have punches, don't worry. You don't have to do it that way. If you do have punches, and mine came from Hobby Lobby when they were, back sometime when they were on sale, then you can use that if you want. Okay, so here is the start of a flower. It's just messy, freeform, okay? Now, if I was gonna do the punches, what I would do is I would just do a whole area. With a bunch of different colors. I mean, this just gives you an idea, okay? Because we're gonna punch when that's dry. So you can either let this dry on its own, or if you're in a hurry, or impatient, or excited, you can use a heat gun, a hair dryer, whatever you like to kind of speed the process up. So before I came live, I did a whole bunch of painting, and I have one ready to go for the punches. And this is what it looks like. It's just a messy sheet with a bunch of different colors on here. And then I have these two punches. They're both, this one I think is a 2.5-inch punch, and this one I believe is a 3-inch punch. They're not a brand, they're the store brand at Hobby Lobby. They're around $20 a piece. They're back with the card making supplies. And if you watch, often they'll have these on sale 40% off, something like that. So I'm just going to punch out around the edges a couple of shapes. It can be hard to get the paper out. I have found that it is easier to punch the paper if your painting is completely dry. Okay, so this is what I have. All right, and this is what it looked like. We're gonna do the punch flowers first. And as I've been experimenting, I have figured out a few things that I like. And one is, okay, I know I keep talking about these things every day. This is starting to become my favorite crafting tool. These are the Magnolia chalk paste ink and chalk paste marker set, and I did put a link down here. I'm going to use the black, and we're going to do something to this little centerpiece that we'll be using. I have a whole bunch of pieces all punched out and ready to go. So I want to create some interest in this very center one. So I'm just going to doodle a little bit. this is what that looks like. And we'll be putting a black button in the center. Let me dry this. So I'm going to show you how to assemble it. Then we'll make the bigger flowers, which those are totally freeform. You guys, this is so much fun. And if you have a newspaper and some of these craft supplies, you can practically make this for free. And if you're a crafter, chances are you probably have a lot of these things that you need on hand. I want to be able to use this, so I want to just dry it a little bit. The pins do dry very quickly. Okay. So this is what I have for our topmost centerpiece. All right, you're gonna start at the bottom and you're gonna just be building layers, all right, of however many thick you want. I would say at least 3 or 4 big ones if you're using these same punches as me on the bottom, and then probably 3 on the top. And you want to save your most colorful ones for the top layer of this shape. And just to experiment a little bit, I did something on this one with just a squiggly line around it. We'll use this as our top piece just to see how that works and if it shows up or not. Okay, so I'm going to take my bottom piece and I'm just going to put a little blob of glue in the center. And then I'm going to lay on my next piece of flour. And then I'm going to do another one. And you want to kind of twist them as you're going along so they're not all, you know, aimed the same direction. So I've got 4 here. This is like a little sandwich. All right, it's 4 thicknesses. Okay, now I'm gonna do a couple, 3 pieces of this little punched flower, and I'm gonna end it with this one that we decorated. We did do a project kind of like this, last year at some point, and I called them Scrunched Flowers because that's essentially what we're going to be doing. And I did, you know, I'm always having these non-sleeping nights where I just wander around on Pinterest, and I did see a lot of ideas for making flowers this style with the scrunching, but not too many with being painted or drawn on. So I think this is pretty unique. Okay, you're gonna take your first layer, you're just gonna pull it up, and you're just gonna scrunch it. And we'll pull up the next layer, and do the same thing. And the next one. We're going to go all the way down to the bottom, just scrunching as we go along. So essentially, I'm just pulling them all up and kind of squeezing them, and then I'll show you what I do to get the edges to have a nice look. This flower is 7 layers thick. Okay, once I get it all squished up, then I'm gonna kind of push the top of these a little bit so that some of the edges kind of bend over. All right. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the layers down, not completely flat, but you know, to get so that we can see what it is again. Oh my gosh, this is adorable. Absolutely adorable. And you can continue scrunching and fluffing however you like, but I really do like this piece right here that I did the details on, and then the first one of the bigger punch that I did this little detail on. Okay, so then I'm just gonna pick out a button. As I've been going along, this is typical of me, I kind of figure out what I like a couple into the project. And I think I like the black buttons the best. So, let's get some black buttons out. They can be absolutely whatever you want. I don't want this one to be too big because, ooh, let's put a diamond in the center. Here's a vintage button. I have a huge collection of buttons. I love buttons. And, but you can clip a button off of a shirt, you know, pick up some buttons at Walmart. They don't have to be anything special. Now I'm gonna put a big blob of glue in the center here. And I'm just gonna press my little black diamond button into it. And what do you guys think? Now we can continue fiddling around with the layers and scrunching and all that kind of stuff. But the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a magnet on it. And I don't know if you guys have ever worked with these magnetic buttons. You can get them everywhere. Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, Joann's, Dollar Tree. What I want to say about these, though, is they're great to work with, but they're super dangerous if somebody would eat them. They're also sometimes hard to get apart. So if you have little ones or pets that are known to pick things up and put them in their mouth, this is, before I was an at-home mommy, I was a lawyer. So this is my lawyer warning to you. Don't leave these out where a little one or an animal could get into them and eat them. They're super dangerous. So keep them up high, and when you're finished, put them away up high. That's my advice. Okay, I'm gonna just put some glue on the back of our little flower and stick my little magnet on it, and you could make leaves. Got a lot of glue strings. But what do you think? Isn't that cute? So let me add it to what we have going on right here. It's this one. So that is a flower that I made using my punches from Hobby Lobby. And if you missed that part of this video tutorial, you can go back and watch the replay and find out everything about where I got the punches, you know, how much they were, what size they are, all that kind of jazz. It's at the beginning of this video. Okay, next we want to do some of these larger ones. And this is the one that I just showed you how to paint. Every single one of them looks different. And I have a whole bunch of them. I mean, they look seriously different. I have a whole bunch here in this pile. You know, I think this one is prettier. I don't know. But this was earlier on in me figuring out what I liked. So we're gonna just work with this. And I have a whole bunch of them that all kind of have these same colors. And what I'm gonna do is, where are my scissors? They're here, hiding somewhere. Okay, I'm gonna cut these two apart. I never like to cut out one thing at a time. I'm always showing you how you can do multiple things at the same time. So I want my biggest flowers to be the bottom layer. And I'm gonna say that's these guys. And I'm gonna kind of line them up with what would be the center all together. And then we're just gonna do this kind of a little cut around it. If when we look at the lower layers, we decide that there's an area that needs to be cut smaller, we can do that, because these don't have to all be the same. We'll be twisting them. I'll hold this up in just a second so you can see. And it's okay to let some of the plain newspaper poke out. Can you see how I just did kind of a wiggly line? So these are going to be my 3 bottom. And actually, this is a lot sticking out, so I'm going to make this just slightly smaller. Just right on that one side. Okay, so then we need the next layer. Oops, what's going on here? Then we're gonna need the next layer. And I'm gonna make these a little bit smaller, and I have 2 of these, all right? And I'm just kind of layering them to see where the center is, and I'm gonna cut in a bit. They don't have to be perfectly round. They can be ovals or whatever. This is one of those crafts that you don't have to do anything precise. It's all kind of messy and freeform, and that's, I think, what I like about it. Okay. And that it did turn out to be a little bit smaller, these 2, than the one next one. Do I have any more of these? These were other ones I did earlier using different colors. So I kind of want to keep my colors all pretty much the same on this pile. And here is one that I did before I came live that is this same kind of colors. And we're going to put this, because it's bigger, I'll put it, I think I'll put it in the back, but maybe I need to make this a little bit smaller. Bear with me while I figure this out. Okay, so this is going to be our back layer. And then I have these 2 for the top. And I want to do, oh, I also have this one, but I don't think I'm going to use it because it's not quite the right colors. But you get the idea. You can doodle on these and create whatever you want. This is the same colors. Let's use this one, okay? I couldn't remember which was which. So I'm going to basically cut this flower kind of out. So what I did, if you missed the beginning, is I just used some of the Magnolia inks to create like a watercolor, but these are super pigmented, so they show up. Where if you use actual watercolors, they're pretty thin and they kind of disappear. So I did that, I let them dry, and then on some of them, like this one, I doodled a flower using my awesome Magnolia DIY ink and chalk paste marker set. And I used ink for this, but you could use the chalk paste also. I don't know why I did, I just did. So I'm just cutting around my little doodly-doo flower. What do you guys think? I want to know. Do you like this idea? I know I tend to be a little bit more boring, a little bit more natural colors and so forth. So maybe this is way outside of what your comfort zone would be. I don't know, but I want to know. If you guys like this, do a this or a this or say, I love it, or put some hearts in the comments. And I am going to be giving away some of these flowers to 3 people. So if you want your name to go into my hat for that, just sprinkle this video to your social media. But if you don't want to, don't feel like you have to. But that is how I will later today, or first thing tomorrow morning, first thing Saturday morning, I'll look through and I'll randomly select 3 names to send these to. Okay, so here's our stack. And we're gonna do the exact same thing as what we did with the punched flowers. Now stay with me because also I wanna show you how to make the tassels, all right? And they are, oh my gosh, they're super cute. So you just put a blob of glue in the center, and then you layer another piece. And I'm kind of twisting them so they're, you know, going all different ways. Keep layering. All the way to the top. Then I'm going to put that top piece on there. And this is what our stack looks like right now. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers, which is about perfect. All right, so now I'm covered. I feel like I've just walked through cobwebs because I'm covered in glue strings. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing as what we did with the little punched flower, and we're going to pull up that top layer and scrunch it. And then the next one. Scrunch it. Ah, thank you guys. I love seeing all those smiley faces and hearts and everything. This is one of those projects that is perfect for me because I love just using what I have on hand. You know, sometimes doing things like, I don't think these inks from Magnolia were, I'll show you what they look like, were necessarily designed to be used on newspapers to print these wild flowers, to make these wild flowers. These are for, technically, they're for fabric, so you can stencil on fabric, tea towels, t-shirts, tote bags, pillows, that kind of thing. They're also for ceramics, so you could stencil on a mug or a plate, and they have to be heat set if it's something that you're going to want to wash. So on ceramics or glass, you put it in the oven to heat set it. On fabrics, you use a hot iron after it's all dry to heat set it, and then they're washable. So I don't think these are necessarily designed to be turned into this and then this, but I just love making what I have work. I've always been that way, and the result with these on this newspaper is amazing. So you get a lot of bang for your buck with those because you can use them for a lot of different things. And they're inks, they have the white lids. Okay, so here's our flower, all kind of scrunched, and now I'm gonna just do a little something with the top of it. Okay, now we're gonna start to pull it apart. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. Am I going to be able to part with these? I don't know, but I will. So sprinkle if you want your name to go into my hat. And tomorrow, Saturday, I'll tell you the 3 names of people who I will be sending these flowers out to, and no purchase necessary, just let some of your friends see this video by sprinkling it to your Facebook page. Or if you're watching on YouTube, you can sprinkle this video on your YouTube page too. Or on your Facebook page. Okay, so here's, oh my gosh, you guys. This is absolutely adorable. And you can see the little decoration that I put on the back layer. Oh, it's so cute. This little boy on the back of here says, "Way to go, Miss Heidi." That is super cute. That's what he's saying. Okay, let's find a black button that's the right size. This would be cute. It really doesn't matter. But I just like the black buttons the best. Use whatever color you have. Or it could be a metal button. Or if you don't have any buttons, you don't have to use one at all. Where are my glue sticks? Oh, here they are. Okay, so we're going to put a big puddle of glue in the center, and we're going to stick our button in it. Oh, and we're also going to do the magnet. Oh my word, I am covered in, these are sometimes hard to get apart. I don't know, they're, okay, here we go. So again, if you're using these, just be super careful that they don't end up on the floor and in a little one's mouth and stomach, or in a pet's mouth and stomach, because they're super dangerous if that happens. I mean, they can even, you have to have surgery to get them out, especially if they swallowed more than one. So it has a magnet on the back, and it is super cute. And let's put it on here. I'm gonna rearrange. You can see this one, I put a green button in it, and also I didn't do any of the drying. So look at the difference. I mean, this one is pretty cute still, but doesn't the black marker just add so much? I think so. So we're just gonna stick all these on here. And I will make a few more with all the pieces that I have just laying around here. I did want to show you that you can also use the white marker, but look how cute they are. And you can just doodle on these. I think they're adorable. So I'll make another big one, and then I'll send some of the flowers to the 3 people whose names I pulled who sprinkled. Okay, so let's do the tassel now. All right, and we have made tassels in the past, but it's been a while. There's my paper that I was planning to show you on. Okay, we'll use the bottom of this. Let me look. Oh, here it is. Never mind. Okay, I'm going to use this. I'm going to cut off the top part of it. And then I'm going to fold it in half. And when it's painted and dry, we'll be cutting this into 2 long strips. And then in just a minute, I'll show you how you fold them and how you cut them. Then I'll show you what you can put them on, because I used champagne corks, but you guys can use a wine cork. You can use a little piece of one of these little wood things that you can get at the Dollar Tree. I mean, there's a lot of different things that you could do if you don't have a champagne cork. Okay, So again, this is the same kind of idea. We're just gonna do a whole bunch of different colors, especially along what will be the bottom, which is down here and along here. And I'm gonna want them to be pretty pigmented, so not super watered down. I'm just gonna show you this real quick, because I have one that I did before I came live, so I'd be ready to show you. So you can see this is not rocket science, and this would be a fun project to do with your kids or grandkids. If you're looking for something to do some afternoon, is paint newspapers. And then, you know, depending on how old they are, you can do the cutting if you want, but let the kids paint, you know, the newspaper. Okay, so this is what I have right here. It's messy, and I would do the same thing all the way across the bottom, and then where I'm gonna cut it, I would do it all the way on this side. Okay, I hope that makes sense. I think it does. And you're gonna let it dry. And I have one over here that I did before I came live, so I could show you guys. And I'm gonna cut this green band right here off of the top. What is this? I think this is Publix. This is a Publix ad. All right, so this is what we have, and I'm gonna fold it in half. And you can trim these up if it turns out that they're way different lengths. But it really doesn't matter. And now I'm just going to cut this. Okay, so then we have 2 strips. Now we want to look at them and see what do we want to be the bottom, because that is what will show. The top part on the last layer will not show at all. So I'm going to have this part down here be the bottom, because I think it is nicer looking. And I'm going to have this part be the bottom. So I'm just going to lay them on top of each other. This is exactly how we made the black and white tassels that we made as Christmas tree ornaments. Do I have any out? Nope. Using vintage dictionary pages. Same process exactly. And then I'm gonna fold it in half. And then I'm gonna fold it in half again. Okay. And then we're just gonna start cutting some strips from the bottom up. They could be however thick or thin you want. And I'll show you in just a second. Don't cut all the way through the top though. You want to leave this room here at the top. You see? What do you guys think? Do you like this? I know it's a long time to explain this whole process because I wanted to show you and actually do it. But when you're just making these, they don't take long at all. As long as you are willing to let them dry, which that's my hardest part. And these do not have to be perfectly straight or anything. So we've got our fringe, and I'm just gonna open it up, and I'm looking at it to see, are there any super big areas where it was folded? Yes, there's one right here, so I'm just gonna cut up on that. This is kind of wanting to stick to each other because it's still a little bit wet, but that's okay. Okay, so this is what we have. We have 2 layers of this. And I think I decided that I wanted this one to be the last layer on because it's the prettiest one with the most colors. So we'll start with this one, all right? And I'm using a champagne cork. You can get these at restaurants. You know, if you just go into the bar, you can get, these I think are crafting champagne corks, so you can buy them at craft stores. You know, ask your friends and family to save them. I know we don't drink a ton of champagne here, so I wouldn't have champagne corks to do this project if it weren't for the fact that I've sometimes found them at thrift stores, and then I've found them at craft stores. Okay, we need our glue. And we're using this low temperature hot glue gun, which I forgot to say earlier. And you're likely to get glue on your fingers, so don't use a hot temperature glue gun or you'll be sorry. And I'm gonna just start below this knob. Can you see where that knob is? And I'm gonna put some glue just below it. And then I'm gonna lay my first piece of newspaper onto it. This is what that looks like. It's gonna have a tendency to want to angle down, so you're just gonna keep pulling your newspaper up to the top and then scrunching it. Honestly, you don't even need that much glue. Uh-oh, okay, that happens sometimes. It doesn't matter at all. I accidentally tore this. So I'll just keep gluing. Let me tack that down good. And we'll just pick up where I tore it. Honestly, this is so long. This one might be long enough to do the whole thing, except I do want to get a good short piece to go over the top that's prettier. So I'm just putting it on and then I'm scrunching it into the hot glue. And I'm just continuing to roll. Oh, darn. I did it again. It honestly does not matter at all. It's gonna all be covered up. Okay, so I want to show you what I mean about the prettier part. If you look at where I am right now, you would see $6. And you see some white spots. So I'm going to just take a little bit of this, long enough to go one revolution around, and I'll put this one on the outside. Tearing it, and then it's glued to me. When I did this idea with vintage book pages on corks, we used some pretty ribbon around the edge, which you could certainly do, but I'm obsessed with these chalk paste and ink markers, so we're gonna do something with that. All right, so the first thing we need to do is figure out how we wanna hang it, and what I have found is the easiest thing to hang it is just one of these little eyelet hooks in whatever size and color you might have on hand. It's a closed circle. This is kind of like a triangle or a rectangle or something. And you're just gonna poke it in the top of your cork and start twisting. Once it gets started, it's easy. Just twisted it all the way in. And then I'm using, I didn't have any good black ribbon that was simple, unfortunately. So I'm using a piece, this may not be long enough, of some of this vintage rickrack that a follower sent to me. And I'm just gonna do a loop. I'm gonna push this through this hole and bring my tail through this loop. And then I'm gonna tie a knot. But you could use ribbon, you could use jute, whatever you like. And your colors for the tassel, you don't necessarily even have to paint the newspaper. I just think it has such a different look. So that's why I opted to do it. It might be pretty just with newspaper that isn't painted, okay? So on this one, I just used that same black marker and did a little squiggly line around the top and then another squiggly line, and then I did some dots. And that's what I'm gonna do again. Prime my marker. And your newspaper's gonna be bumpy because there's lumps of glue underneath it. So that helps you just get a natural squiggly line. There's my first one. Do another one. There's my second one. And now I'm just going to put some dots in the center. However apart I just feel. Okay. And there we go. What do you think? Is that not the absolute cutest thing? Now, if you had some layers down here, I did this with the other one, that were a lot longer, you can just hold it like this, and you can use your scissors to trim up anything that's sticking down a lot further. And voila! Newspaper, painted newspaper, and champagne cork tassels. So, what do you think? And the thing is, I used what I had. I love these markers. I used the inks that I had. If you don't have the inks, you can invest in them. They're not super expensive, and you'll be able to use them for a ton of different projects, and there is a link down below. Or you can try to see if you have some watercolors like this that will work. Mine did not work well. Or you can try some acrylic paint if you want. But honestly, the the inks that I used were so saturated that they were great. They worked great. Let's put these up here. Let me just get a pretty arrangement going. And also, I forgot to mention that I used a stencil down here just to put something on here. I don't know if I'll leave it or not. It's this one. It says Happiness Blooms From Within. You can find it at Magnolia DIY. And I used some black chalk paste. But these are the results of our project. I'm loving this idea that you can craft with newspapers. I hope you're not bored of all the flowers that I've been doing lately, but I've been in a flower mood. And I do have some other flowers that I'm working on. Like, we won't do this anytime very soon, but we're gonna make poppies here probably in the next week and a half. And we'll do some fall crafts, and we may even throw in one Christmas something here and there. I try to mix it up as much as possible so you guys aren't, you know, feeling bored of me. But I think it all turned out pretty fabulous. I'm happy with the results. And if you decide, oh, here's the last thing. If you decide that you want to make some of these, either the tassels or the flowers with painted newspaper, then I would love to see pictures. So if you haven't already joined Dreamy DIY, that's the group that I set up for us to share, all of us, our craft pictures. And, you know, just affirm each other, just get more ideas and be encouraging and supporting of each other. It's called Dreamy DIY. There's a space there. And it's on Facebook. Then hop over there, ask to join. The only rules are, be nice. Of course, you're gonna be nice. Don't try to sell anything over there. And then also, please don't share other crafters' videos at Dreamy DIY, because then I end up getting questions about how to do those, and I wasn't even the one that did it. So if you can share your own craft projects, they don't have to be ones that you learned from me, but share your own pictures there and not other crafters' videos. That would be great. So I want to see what you do. And if you want to look at these inks, the pen set, the chalk paste, or anything else, I did put some links right down here, as well as there's at the very bottom is a list of the other things involved. I hope that, oh, thank you to everybody who sent stars. That's awesome. I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. And oh, one last thing. Do it this, or this, or say something in the comments, and look to see if you've liked DIY Dreaming on Facebook, or subscribed on YouTube if you want to see what I have coming up next. And also, I do have a new text alert thing. So if you want to get a text before I go live, just let me know and I'll send you the information. All right, thanks for watching, you guys. And if you want to be in my drawing for some of these flowers, if you will just sprinkle this video to your personal Facebook page, or to a group if you're involved in groups that allow it. Don't share this in a group if they don't want you to. Then I'll put your name into my hat, And tomorrow, Saturday, the 31st of July, I'll pick 3 names and I'll be sending some of these flowers out to them. So that was the very last thing. And I will see you guys later.